Hi dear students, this is the fourth part of the fifth module of the subject EST 100 Engineering Mechanics. In the first, second and third part, we were discussing about the kinematics of the rotation about a fixed axis. That is, in all those parts, we have not considered the cause of the motion or rotation, that is force we have not considered. But in this part, we will consider the force or cause of the motion. So in this part we will be discussing kinetics of the rotation. So before moving on to the topic, we have to derive some fundamental equation. For that, consider a body of mass m rotating with an angular acceleration alpha radian per second square about a fixed axis O as shown in figure. This is the figure, and you can see the fixed axis O is shown there, and we are assuming that this entire mass, this boundary line, this is the entire mass. This mass is rotating about that point O with a constant angular acceleration alpha radian per second square. So now consider an elementary mass dm at a radius r. You can see we have considered an elemental mass dm at this point. This black dot is the elemental mass having elemental mass with mass dm, and it is at a distance r from the axis of rotation O, and it is having a with an angular velocity omega radian per second square. The angular velocity of this elemental mass is omega radian per second. The elementary mass is subject to an angular acceleration with component an and at. As I have already explained in the part 1 or 2, I don't remember in which part it is. Anyway, the angular acceleration is having two components. One is normal to the one is normal direction, one is along the normal direction, and the other one is along the tangential direction. If the motion is circular, that means that if you draw a normal to the tangent, we have the property that the normal will pass through the center of rotation. So if this is the tangential direction at, the acceleration along the tangential direction is marked as a suffix t, and acceleration component of acceleration along the normal direction is written as an, or either an or ac. Since why we are using c is the normal will always pass through the center, so that's why this c is coming. Sometimes it is also called centripetal acceleration. So anyway, we are having two components of acceleration. One is acting along the tangential direction or tangent to the rotation, circle of rotation, and the other one will be through the normal to that tangent, that will be always passing through the center of the rotation. So anyway, we are having two components, an and at. An is given by omega square r. That also we have seen in the previous presentation. This is the equation. This is not this equation we won't be using commonly, but this one is the very important equation. The tangential component of acceleration is given by r into alpha. This equation we have derived in part 1, I think. So at, tangential component of acceleration, is at equal to r into alpha, where r is the radius and alpha is the angular acceleration. Now the tangential, for this tangential, you can see that normal component of acceleration will be passing through the center, so it won't create any moment, but that tangential component is actually giving some acceleration for this rotation. So the normal component of the acceleration has nothing to do with the rotation, only the tangential component is doing the rotary part. So the tangential force acting on the elementary mass is, we know that the force is mass into acceleration. So the tangential force acting on the elementary mass is mass into tangential acceleration. So mass is dm, and tangential acceleration is r into alpha. So dm into r alpha will be the tangential force acting on the elementary mass, and it will be, this force will be acting tangential to the tangential direction to a particular point. Okay. Anyway, now next one is we will calculate the moment of this force about the point of rotation O. That is, moment of this force about O is this is the force, dm into r alpha is the force, and to calculate the moment we will be multiplying force into distance. Here distance is r. Since the force is acting along tangential direction, radius will be perpendicular to the tangential direction. So the perpendicular distance is nothing but radius of the circle or radius of rotation. So dm into r alpha into r is the moment of the force. R into r is r square. So this will become dm into r square into alpha. So this is the moment of this force about O. See, moment of this force means force is actually created by that small elemental mass dm. So if you want to calculate the entire moment or entire force, moment of the force, Now what we will do is we will integrate this term. So now turning moment or torque on the whole body about O is given by T is equal to integral dm r square alpha. See, now turning moment, why we are calling it as turning moment is, this is the entire moment. Entire moment means this moment is actually providing some rotary motion, providing that rotary motion to that particular body. That's why it is called turning moment. Actually it is moment, total moment. Along with that moment we are adding a term turning. Turning means the effect of this moment is to turn the body about a fixed axis. That's why it is called turning moment, or simply it is called torque. The one word for this turning moment is torque. Actually torque is similar to the force acting on the rectilinear motion. So in the field of rectilinear motion, the force is creating some motion along the direction of the force. Here the turning moment or torque is creating some motion of the body, but the motion of the body will be along a circular path around about a fixed axis. So on the ball body so the turning moment or torque is given by, in the left side, the integral of this one is nothing but turning moment or torque. T is equal to integral dm r square into alpha. This term we can simply write as T is equal to I alpha. This entire term T is equal to, this term is I alpha. We are writing it as I alpha, where I is the mass moment of inertia, or simply it is defined as integral dm into r square. This term integral dm into r square is nothing but mass moment of inertia. Actually this term is to be covered in the third module, but I have not taken that part while teaching the third module, because that was not important in that module. Only thing we want to know is some equations only. So you just go through the fundamentals of, or find out what are the expressions for mass moment of inertia for some commonly used solids. Okay, that is only is required, or I will share it with you, no problem. Anyway, I is equal to mass moment of inertia and is given by integral dm into r square. This term is mass moment of inertia, that is I, and alpha is the angular acceleration. So we have got the general equation T is equal to I alpha, where I is the mass moment of inertia and alpha is the angular torque. T is equal to I alpha. See, in the rectilinear motion we have used the same equation, F is equal to ma. This T is equal to I alpha equation is analogous to the equation that Newton's law we have used in the rectilinear motion, F is equal to ma. See, instead of T in the rectilinear motion it is F. I have already told, in the rectilinear motion the force F is the same as that of the torque T in the rotary motion, and instead of mass we are using mass moment of inertia I in the rotary motion, and instead of linear acceleration A we will be using the angular acceleration alpha. See the relation between these two, F is equal to ma is analogous to T is equal to I alpha. Both are same equation. Instead of F we have to use torque. The force in the case of the rectilinear motion is analogous to torque in the case of the rotary motion, and instead of mass we will be using a new term, that is mass moment of inertia I. And from the definition we have I is equal to mk square. This equation we have already studied, where k is the radius of gyration. For various solids we will have different equation to calculate radius of gyration or mass moment of inertia. For example, in the case of disc or thin cylinders, the equation to calculate the mass moment of inertia I is m into r square by 2. That was the equation. So actually I is equal to mk square. That m is already there in that equation. So r square by 2 is actually k square. So k is equal to r by root 2. That is the equation to calculate the radius of gyration for a thin disc or thin cylinder. Okay, thin cylinder means if in the problem rod and all is given, that means it is we can assume that rod as a thin cylinder. And sometimes if disc problems are given, then you can use k is equal to r by root 2. In that way you can find the value of k, and on multiplying that, find out the k square, multiply with m, then you will get the mass moment of inertia I. Once you got I, you multiply it with alpha, then you will get the torque. Okay, that is the importance of this equation, and this equation is very important. Please remember as T is equal to I alpha, where I is the mass moment of inertia, and I is also given as mass moment of inertia I is equal to mk square, where k is the radius of gyration and alpha is the angular acceleration. K value for different solids will be different, that you have to by heart. Okay, now this term torque is a new for you, and torque is the measure of the force that can cause an object to rotate about a fixed axis. See, in the rectilinear motion force is nothing but by applying force, the body will be moving along a straight line. Here, if you are applying some rotary force, that is what is known as the torque. If torque is applied, then it will cause the object to rotate about an axis. That is what is happening. Force is what causes an object to accelerate in linear kinematics. Similarly, torque is what causes an angular acceleration. Hence, torque can be defined as the rotational equivalent of the linear force. Both are similar. Rotational equivalent of torque is the rotational equivalent of the linear force. Instead of linear force in the rectilinear motion, we are using torque here. That's all. Now, the point where the object rotates is called the axis of rotation, and torque can be obtained by the equation torque is equal to force into R. Remember that force is the tangential force. Force into that radius, product of force into tangential force into radius will give the required torque. Okay. Now, next one is work done in rotation. In the rectilinear motion, the equation for the work done is force into displacement. Here also the same equation we are using. See, in the rotary motion, instead of force, we will be having torque, so T, and instead of displacement, it is angular displacement theta. So, work done is theta, T into theta, torque into angular displacement theta. The product of torque and angular displacement will give work done. It is easy to remember. In the rectilinear motion, it is work done is equal to force into displacement. Here it is same. Instead of force, torque is coming, and instead of displacement, it is angular displacement theta. So, product of torque into theta will give work done. Now, from the fundamental, we have if n is the angular speed in RPM, then angular displacement theta equal to 2 pi n by 60. See, during one revolution, total theta is 2 pi. So, n by 60 is the number of revolutions per second. So, 2 pi into n by 60 will be the total angular displacement per second. So, angular displacement is theta equal to 2 pi n by 60 if n is the angular speed in RPM. Okay. Now, work done is equal to T into 2 pi n by 60, or simply it is 2 pi nt by 60. This is the one of the fundamental equation used in the field of the rotating bodies to find out the work done. Work done equal to torque, work done equal to 2 pi nt by 60. 2 pi nt by 60. That is it. Actually, it is work done per second, or simply it is called power. So, the equation to calculate the power is equal to 2 pi nt by 60. That is a well-known equation. You will be studying all these things in the later semesters. So, anyway, keep it in mind. This is a very important equation. Now, next one is kinetic energy due to rotation. Everything you can compare with the rectilinear motion. Analogy is there between rectilinear motion and the rotary motion. So, in the case of rectilinear motion, kinetic energy is equal to half mv square. So, here the kinetic energy in the case of the rotary motion is I omega square by 2. See, instead of mass, we will be using mass moment of inertia I, and instead of velocity, here it is angular velocity omega. So, the final equation is I omega square by kinetic energy is equal to I omega square by 2, where I is the mass moment of inertia and omega is the angular velocity. It is everything is easy to correlate. So, just remember all this equation with correlation with the rectilinear motion. Everything is analogous. So, remember in that way. Instead of mass, we will be using mass moment of inertia. Instead of velocity, it is angular velocity. So, I omega square by 2 is the equation to calculate kinetic energy. Now, work energy equation for rotation. We have seen the work energy equation in the case of the rectilinear motion. Here also the same thing is applicable. There the work energy equation was F into S. The product of force into displacement is change in kinetic energy, that is mv square by 2 minus mu square by 2, where v is the final velocity and u is the initial velocity. Left side it was force into displacement. The same equation is applicable here also. The left in the rectilinear motion, left side it is force into displacement. Here instead of force, torque will come, and instead of displacement, angular displacement theta is used. So, T into theta will be the left hand side of the work energy equation, and right hand side we will have the difference of final energy and initial kinetic energy. So, final kinetic energy is half I omega 2 square, and initial kinetic energy is half I omega 1 square, where omega 2 is the final angular velocity and omega 1 is the initial angular velocity. Half I omega 2 square minus half I omega 1 square. This equation is also applicable in the case of the rotary motion, kinetics of the rotary motion. So, all these are the very important equations. I think all this portion is very much clear for you.